Kids, Ernest Hemingway, and the Tremont Street subway are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is September 1st, 2022. It is the 244th day of the year. We got 121 days left. It is the 35th Thursday in the 36th week and the 73rd day of summer. You got 21 days left until fall. If today's your birthday, your birthstone is a sapphire. Congratulations. We made it to another birthstone. Today's going to be kind of an abbreviated video. I am dying with sinuses and I can barely speak and breathe at the same time. So here we go. Today is National Chicken Boy Day. On September 1st, National Chicken Boy Day honors the birthday of an interesting statue in California. So I saw this one when I was a teenager. I was in high school and I saw it out in front of, I guess it was the restaurant, and me and my friends actually stopped and were like, what is that thing? So we weren't from like the downtown area, we're from the suburbs, and we actually saw it and I was a little weirded out by it. Years later, I took friends by there, it was gone. Here's the story of Chicken Boy. Chicken Boy stands about 22 feet tall and holds a bucket of chicken. The fiberglass statue of a boy with a chicken head can be seen along Route 66. He's named after the 1960s Chicken Boy restaurant, also known as the Statue of Liberty of Los Angeles. He joined other notable food characters like Big Boy and Ronald McDonald, and there was a few other ones. All over the country, they have these giant, characters like Paul Bunyan that used to represent a restaurant, and there's been a few of them. This is probably one of the weirdest ones, Chicken Boy. Anyway, the iconic statue remained in place at the restaurant until the owner died in 1984. At the time, Chicken Boy was given to Los Angeles art director Amy Inoue. I think I pronounced that right. For a time, the statue remained cooped up in storage. However, over 20 years later, Chicken Boy flew the coop, and he now graces the property of Ionoue's design firm. The entire community came together to make the restoration of Chicken Boy possible. It also didn't hurt that they started selling Chicken Boy merch, and that I'm sure paid for a lot of it too. In 2010, California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger recognized the famous Chicken Boy statue along the historic Route 66 with the Governor's Historic Preservation Award. And this is interesting. The feathered boy not only attracts visitors, but he also has a documentary and a polka song named after him. In addition, he and Inoue, again, I hope I pronounced that right, have also received several awards for the statue. It's just weird. All right, let's see what else September 1st has given us. 1772, the Mission San Luis Obispo is founded in San Luis Obispo, California. 1836, Narcissa Whitman, one of the first English-speaking white women to settle west of the Rocky Mountains, arrives in Walla Walla, Washington. 1897, the Tremont Street subway in Boston opens, becoming the first underground rapid transit system in North America. And this is pretty interesting. At the time, they had different trolleys that were pulled by horses, and as the population of Boston grew, they needed something else. The streets were too congested with private carriages, horses everywhere. There was, as you can imagine, horse crap all over the streets. So when the first horse-drawn trolley started operation in Boston, that was like 1856, the city had a population of under 200,000 residents. By the mid-1880s, Boston had a population of over 400,000 residents, so it had doubled at least. And that meant more people on the streets, more carriages, more horse-drawn trolleys. Horses were overused and dying on the streets. They had gridlock and traffic, and they finally decided to limit the amount of trolleys that could go down the street. This was not working. The population's growing and things are getting worse. And then some magic happened. In 1886, the electric traction motor was invented. 2 years later, first electric trolley system. As you can imagine, this caught the attention of everyone who had ever stepped in horse manure near Boston Commons. So they converted all the horse-drawn carriages to electric within a couple years, but the problem was still there. They had like hundreds of electric trolleys going up and down the street, and they still were at a standstill. They finally decided to try and run a tunnel. At first, a lot of people weren't on board with this because they had one tunnel like this with a steam engine in London, and it really wasn't very appealing. They had smoke and ash and steam and all that good stuff stuck in tunnels. People couldn't breathe, and it really wasn't popular. They thought this was going to be just like it, and it took some time for people to understand the electricity was going to be a little bit different than a steam locomotive underground. And now most cities have at least some form of train that does go underground at some point. You also have other major metropolitan areas like Chicago and New York that have theirs above the street. Instead of going under, they just built it on stilts. 1952, The Old Man and the Sea, the Pulitzer Prize-winning novel by Ernest Hemingway, is first published. Of all the classic books you should read, there's like this list of 100 books everyone should read. This is the one that I think most people should read. 1961, TWA Flight 529 crashed shortly after takeoff from Midway Airport in Chicago, killing all 78 people on board. At the time, it was the deadliest single plane disaster in U.S. history. There's been nothing but plane accidents lately on this channel. Sorry. 1983, another one, but kind of not really, just a plane crash. Cold War. Korean Airline Flight 007 is shot down by a Soviet Union fighter jet when the commercial aircraft enters Soviet airspace, killing 269 people on board, including Congressman Lawrence McDonald. You know, I knew about that flight, I just didn't know there was a congressman on board. That's strange. 2008, the Iraq War. The United States Armed Forces transfers control of the Anbar province to the Iraqi Armed Forces. Movies released on September 1st, 1995. Kids. This is a coming-of-age drama about a group of teenagers in New York City over the course of one day where they do drinking and, do all the things teenagers shouldn't be doing. The scripted film is shot in a documentary style, so you almost feel like you're watching a documentary. I've seen it. It's pretty interesting. New York Times described the movie as Lord of the Flies with skateboards, nitrous oxide, and hip-hop. Thought that was pretty interesting. This is where Rosario Dawson got her start. This was like her first film role. Born on September 1st, 1996, Zendaya, actress and singer who became known for starring as Rocky Blue in Disney's Shake It Up. Her second single, Watch Me, hit number 9 in the U.S. Top Heat Seekers chart in 2011. She starred as Casey Cooper in the Disney's Casey Undercover, and in 2019 she began her starring role as Rue in the HBO series Euphoria. Now, that's all well and good, but everyone knows her as MJ in the new Spider-Man movies. I think she plays a great part. I'm really impressed with her. I think she's a great actress. I know nothing about her singing. I don't think I've ever heard anything she ever sang, but she plays a really good part in the new Spider-Man movies. Died on September 1st, 2008, we lost Don Lafontaine. Do you know who Don Lafontaine is? Most people don't, but I promise you've heard him. He's a voiceover artist whose epic Voice of God was featured in thousands of movies and video game trailers and TV commercials. You'll know him by watching any movie that came out in the 80s that was like an action movie. He always said, in a world where... That was this deep, gravelly voice. He did so many things. He enlisted in the United States Army and worked as a recording engineer for the U.S. Army Band and Chorus. Besides doing trailers and things like that, he was also in a lot of movies, at least for voiceover, like The Terminator, Batman Returns, and The Bride of Chucky. On Friday, August 22nd, 2008, Lafontaine, a longtime smoker, was admitted to Cedars-Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles with a pulmonary embolism and reported to be in critical condition the following Tuesday. On September 1st, 2008, 6 days after his 68th birthday and 10 days after his hospitalization, Lafontaine died following complications from a pneumothorax. On September 6, 2008, America's Most Wanted showed a visual with a picture of him and the words, "In Memoriam of Don LaFontaine, August 26, 1940 to September 1, 2008. John Walsh announced that prior to the dedication sign, LaFontaine, who had been the show's announcer since 1988, had died at the age of 68. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a productive day, and be nice to each other.